It's been a little over a week since I got the 15 Pro Max. I want to share my experience so far and address some concerns a lot of people currently are having with the 15 Pro series. Hey everyone, it's Andrew and welcome back to the channel. So far, I'm really enjoying the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The color option that I have is natural titanium, and I think that was the right choice for me. Having the Apple Watch Ultra with natural titanium as well really gave me that peace of mind that this colorway is going to be the option that scratches the least. Now, it might get dinged up and there's definitely been some durability concerns, but in terms of color, I think I made the right choice and it looks absolutely stunning. The all-new titanium frame is brushed but very smooth to the touch, and the contoured edges and thinnest borders ever on an iPhone make the phone extremely comfortable and, in my opinion, the most comfortable smartphone that I've ever held. And yes, I've had experience with the S23 Ultra and this is more comfortable. And it's much more comfortable than my previous iPhone, the 14 Pro. When I hold the phone like this, where my pinky is feels a lot less awkward and the side isn't sharp, and it's also very light. And for a Pro Max size, that adds a lot of comfort. It feels very soft. It's great for swiping, like sliding down and touching the contour edges just feels amazing. I was a bit worried about jumping to the Pro Max from a Pro iPhone, and honestly, the weight really hasn't been that much of a difference. The overall weight is 7.81 ounces, the 14 Pro is 7.27 ounces, and the Pro Max is 8.47 ounces. So it's right on par with the 14 Pro, a little bit heavier. And that's probably why I haven't noticed much of a difference. Being able to charge with USB-C is really cool. I can actually charge my AirPods with a USB-C to Lightning cable. I can also charge my Apple Watch Ultra. I can charge the MagSafe battery pack. And I can also charge my iPhone 13 Pro. The back of the iPhone is glass, which has raised some eyebrows. It actually failed Jerry Riggs' durability test. He tried to bend the phone in half and it pretty much shattered the back glass, which was surprising to a lot of people. I wouldn't worry too much about it because if you're trying to break a phone, it's going to break. And most of us out there, we're never going to try and bend our phone or anything like that. I don't think it's a real life scenario. It also failed quite a few of drop tests, but most phones do. The contour edges, back glass, and titanium altogether may not be as strong as the previous version. In my opinion, if you're really worried about your device breaking, then this year you should get Apple Care. It's not too much to get. It's like 13 bucks a month and it'll actually protect you from quite a bit of things. Also this year, I know a lot of people like to go caseless and it's a shame because natural titanium looks so good, but when you're out and about, just make sure to use a case. I always go with Apple cases, but they're not the most durable, so maybe check out some other brands. The mute switch is gone and has been replaced by the action button, and it's a lot cooler than I thought it would be. I can configure it to different options in the settings, and the UI in the settings app just looks phenomenal, and I kind of hope Apple makes all of the UI in settings look like this. Currently, I have my action button set to a shortcut, so if I tap on it, this is what appears. And I actually got this shortcut from Steven Robles. It's a really good video. I'll link it in the description so you can check it out. But I have it open to the mute toggle. I can have it open to my camera, podcasts, music, books, and I can also have it open to shortcuts. This is actually going to be a really useful feature and not a gimmick in any way. The Pro Motion display looks gorgeous, and in my eye, it just looks brighter. I think it's just because it's the Pro Max. I don't know what it is, but it might be the bezels because they look super thin compared to previous versions of the iPhone. The Pro Max is 6.7 inches, and you get a lot of real estate with the screen size, and my goodness, just look at the bezels. They're so thin. The battery life has been pretty good so far, and I have no complaints about it as well, and I really shouldn't. Anything is better than the 14 Pro. Anything. I've gotten through every single day of using it all the way until the end of the day with quite a bit of battery left over, usually a little over 20%. For example, one day I got 5 hours on screen time with 3 hours idle time and 20% battery life left over. For me, my battery life has been pretty good. And there's also a new setting if you're concerned for long-term battery health. You actually go to your settings, go into battery, and in the settings, you can limit your charging to 80% to limit the amount of charging cycles that your battery will go through. This will limit battery degradation over time. The 5x optical zoom which is exclusive to the 15 Pro Max, has been really good and, dare I say, incredible to use. Here's some shots I've taken at 5x. Here's some comparison shots at 0.5x, 1x, 2x, and 5x. And here's a video as well, just zooming into 5x. It's pretty stunning. The images just look more natural in real life and are showing a more truer representation of what my eye is seeing when I'm taking the picture. It looks sharp, but not over sharp. The images don't look oversaturated. And I actually got kind of a full day out and about in my city, just taking pictures, taking some really nice shots, and they came out looking really great. So I'm excited for the full review of the camera. I haven't tested night mode yet, so there's more to come, so stay tuned. I plan to do a more focused video on the camera, so make sure to sub to the channel for that. A lot of iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max users have been complaining about overheating, and it's something, thankfully, that I haven't really had to deal with. The only time that I've had overheating is when I was charging USB-C with a non-Apple USB-C cable, and it got pretty hot, but not burning hot to where I couldn't hold the device. Some people have said just doing normal tasks makes the phone hot, or being on social media. Some have said recording in log. If you want to complain on Twitter, complain on Twitter. It might also be best if your device truly is messed up to reach out to Apple support. They might be able to give you some tips, or maybe they're going to address it in a software update. It is the first week, and I wouldn't be overly concerned about this. I did do a test driving home. I had Apple Maps open while playing a YouTube video in the background. I had my personal hotspot tied to my iPhone 13 Pro, and I was charging it via USB-C, and the phone was kind of warm, but not super hot, and nothing to complain about. For me, the device is performing as expected, but honestly, I'm not doing anything crazy. Social media, texting, calls, notes, maps, that kind of stuff. The A17 Pro chip is said to be on the level as some M2 devices, which is just overkill in my opinion for an iPhone. Probably the biggest task that I have done on it is shooting in 4K at 60 FPS. I don't use ProRes or log or anything like that. And I don't game either. So for me, it's performing what typically I would say most normal users would need it to perform at. I think it's pretty good. A few minor things to note that actually kind of have a big impact in my opinion. The fingerprints aren't as bad as we initially thought, and I still think stainless steel has worse fingerprints than the natural titanium or any of the titanium colors from this year. Haptics feel really good on this phone. I noticed it right away when I was typing in like my Apple ID to set up the phone. You can turn your settings on to make it faster as well, but it's really nice. Haptics, amazing on this phone. The speakers are incredibly loud and sharp, and when I was driving, typically it's kind of muddled and I can't quite hear everything fully, but had my speakers all the way up listening to the Real Madrid game the other day, and it sounded super loud, super crisp.
An excitement in the Madrid air with good reason.
I also asked some people on Twitter what their experience has been like, so let's read a few tweets. William Fax said, 15 Pro Max, all in all, no complaints. The cameras are a noticeable upgrade, especially when zooming. The titanium structure feels nice, if a bit slippery, and the biggest upgrade to me is the thinner bezels. Doesn't seem like much until you have it in hand. Another user, Will, said, battery is a little rough and the phone gets hot, but it's still a joy to use. So kind of a little bit of a more negative take on it. I know a lot of people are having heating issues. Username D or Peacekeeper said, 15 Pro titanium blue is gorgeous. No complaints so far, feels good in hand. Does not overheat. Only thing I need to get used to, again, is the lower battery life. I switch from a 13 Pro Max. We'll have to see how this device pans out in the long term. Overall, this device is super comfortable in hand. I love the natural titanium, specifically the titanium frame and the natural titanium color on the back. It's just beautiful. Bezels being super thin look incredible, and you need to experience it in person. The camera also is really good and a big upgrade from the 14 Pro for me. I have a ton of Apple content coming out for the rest of this year into next year, so make sure to sub for that as well. I post weekly on Fridays, so turn those notifications on. As always, guys, thanks for watching. God bless, and I will see you on the next video.